Hi, my name's Nigel Day. I'm UVEX's Technical Support Services Manager, and I'm here to talk to you today about the importance of hearing protection. The ability to hear, or hearing as we know it, has been around since creatures first emerged from the sea. And of course, in those times, it was more about survival than communication. For early man, the ability to hear was a protection mechanism. We could hear potential threats when we couldn't see them. The advantage of having two ears gave us directional hearing so that we could hear from which direction that possible threat was coming. Hearing was also a major factor in the development of communication as the uttering of grunts and groans became or developed into recognizable sounds. Physically, there's no difference between the two. It's actually how we perceive what we hear. Sound is generally something we like. Yeah, I like that sound, sounds good. Whereas noise is something we don't like. That's an awful noise. Will you turn that noise down? So far as our ears are concerned, they work in exactly the same way for both. We will lose some of our hearing at some point as we get older. That's age, there's nothing we can do about that. It's very like our eyesight. That will deteriorate. However, it's worth getting it checked out from time to time, especially if you notice that you're having difficulties in certain circumstances, particularly in loud areas where there's lots of noise and talking. Very often, we don't notice there's a problem until we're watching TV, for example, with friends and family. And the fight for the remote control is for the volume rather than the channel. That said, the World Health Organization recently estimated that somewhere in the region of 1.5 billion people worldwide, that's around 19% of the global population, have hearing issues. And 1 million people, young people between the ages of about 12 and 35, are at risk of recreational noise exposure from listening to music mainly. Of course, there are many causes of hearing loss, not all from noise, from generic characteristics, diseases, illnesses, biological problems, and of course environmental and behavioural factors. Not all of these are easy to prevent. However, the environmental and behavioural factors are within our control. We can do something about it. Noise-induced hearing loss is the most common, permanent and irreversible injury in the world. And tinnitus is the third most serious non-fatal medical condition. The big point to take is that once our hearing's gone, it's gone. Often our first concern is whether we can carry on working. Then we start to think about the everyday things are stuff we do at home. Everything from watching TV, playing with the children, we're going out with family and friends, listening to music, going to the pub, even answering the phone. All of these suddenly start to become a little bit more difficult. The other risk, of course, is that we may start to feel isolated or actually be isolated quite simply, not deliberately, by others, our friends, because we cannot participate in everything fully. Very, very simply, your life has to adapt to it. There's a number of things that we can do. For example, we can use less noisy kit. We can make sure any equipment we use is well maintained and in good condition. Any blades, make sure they're sharp and again in good condition. Possibly even the use of acoustic panels, because all we're trying to do is reduce the amount of noise that we're exposed to. It's also important to remember it may not just be you that's exposed to the noise. There may be other people working in the vicinity. They need to be aware of that risk as well. It's not always possible to reduce the noise at source, in which case we might need to consider hearing protection, which comes in many, many forms, shapes and sizes. The types that we're most concerned about generally for the construction industry are over-the-ear protection, earmuffs, and in-ear protection, earplugs. In this session we're talking primarily about earplugs, the disposable or roll-down plugs, both reusable and disposable, and we'll discuss the merits of both. Your health and safety department, with the use of noise assessments, will determine the level of protection you need. The type of protector will be determined by a number of practical factors, such as other PPE you have to wear, how long you have to wear it for, how often you have to wear, how frequently you wear it, and also, of course, the environment that you're working in. Hearing protection is very different to other PPE that you have to wear. We don't really need training in how to fit and wear boots, gloves, glasses, specs, etc. Whereas with hearing protection, very like respirators, if it's not fitted or worn correctly, it will not provide the level of protection you're looking for. So it is critical that the product that you choose to wear provides the right level of protection and is right for you, the wearer. Generally in the construction industry, PPE, your boots, your gloves, your glasses, etc., you need to wear all the time for obvious reasons. But hearing protection, again, is slightly different because it's generally task specific. In other words, when you need to make a noise, and that's what we need to develop. Okay, so let me try and explain. You have a situation on site, you're working on site, and the job you're involved with requires a certain amount of preparation work before you need to use any power tools, whether it's cutters, grinders, tampers, torque wrenches, etc. In other words, there's a relatively quiet period before you're going to make excessive noise. Once that preparation work is done, that's when you need to put your hearing protection in before you start making the noise. Let me try and demonstrate the two options, both disposable and reusable earplugs. And at the end of it, it is your choice as to which is the most suitable hearing protection for you that you choose to wear. So let's look at disposable plugs. I've got my hard hat on, I've got my gloves on, I've finished the preparation work, I now need to put my hearing protection in before I get involved with the power tools. The first thing I do is to take the gloves off because I need to touch the plugs and I don't want to get the plugs dirty into my ears. Second thing I'm going to do is take my hard hat off. Then I find the plugs in my pocket. I then roll them up into the tiny little cylinders. I reach over, hence the reason I've taken the hard hat off. I put them into the ears like that. Allow them to expand. Put the hard hat back on again, put my gloves on, and I'm ready to go. When I've finished the work, I do some of the reverse. I take the gloves off, I take the plugs out, put the gloves back on again, and I'm ready to get on with the preparation work. Reusable earplugs. I've got my gloves on, I've got my hard hat on, I'm doing the preparation work. I've now finished the preparation work. Now I need to put my earplugs in before I start making the noise. With a reusable earplug, because I don't need to roll it up, in other words, touch the bit that goes into the ear, there's no risk, reducing risk of infections. And on this particular plug, I don't even need to take my gloves off. All I'm going to do is quite simply lock that into place there, and the same with the other side. Pop that into there, and then I can get on making the noises I need to. When I've finished, simple in reverse, I'm taking those out, popping those in there to keep them clean, and I can carry on with the preparation work. Easy, simple, quick and convenient. Whichever hearing protection you choose, and for whatever reason, it needs to be fitted and worn correctly whenever you are exposed to the noise. Remember, the best hearing protection is the one that gets worn.